The ship named Horizon broke through the clouds of Proxima Centauri b, its engines glowing bright against the alien sky. Inside the control room, Captain Jack Miller watched as the strange new world came into view. This was a big moment. Humans had never met aliens before, and now they were about to land on an alien planet. Final approach looking good, Jack said, his hands steady on the controls. He had been preparing for this day for years. Everyone ready for first contact? Dr. Susan Wright couldn't sit still. As the ship's xenobiologist, she had spent her life studying the possibility of alien life. Now she was about to meet real aliens. "I can't believe we're actually here," she said, pressing her face against the viewport. "After all our training, we're finally going to meet them." Security Officer Alan Garcia checked his gear one last time. He didn't expect trouble, but being prepared was his job. "Just remember the protocols," he said. "We represent all of Earth down there." Olivia Ross, their communications specialist, listened to the incoming signals. "They're sending landing coordinates now," she said. "Looks like they're ready for us." None of the crew knew that the aliens waiting for them were just as nervous, but for very different reasons. On the planet's surface, galactic anthropologist Kuzkathar paced back and forth. The news that humans were coming had thrown the entire Galactic Confederation into chaos. Humans came from Earth, and Earth was classified as a Class 12 Deathworld, one of the most dangerous planets known to exist. "Are the safety protocols in place?" Kuzkathar asked the medical team. "These humans evolved on a planet with crushing gravity, extreme temperature changes, deadly radiation, constant natural disasters, and aggressive microorganisms. We must be prepared for anything." The head medical officer waved his tentacles nervously. "We have containment fields ready if needed, but I still think this meeting is too risky. These Deathworlders should have been quarantined in their solar system." Kuzkathar understood the concern. Most intelligent species in the galaxy evolved on gentle worlds with stable climates and few natural threats. The idea that intelligent life could develop on a planet like Earth seemed impossible, until humans proved otherwise by building spaceships and reaching the stars. "The Confederation Council has made its decision," Kuzkathar said. "We must learn about these humans if we are to understand the threat they might pose, or the help they might offer." The Horizon landed smoothly on the designated pad. Through the windows, the crew could see a group of aliens waiting for them. The beings looked nothing like humans. They had 4 arms, bluish skin, and large eyes that blinked sideways. "Remember," Jack told his crew, "to them, we're the aliens. Let's make a good first impression." The airlock opened and Jack led his team down the ramp. The gravity felt lighter than Earth, and the air smelled sweet, like flowers. "Is this right?" Jack whispered to Susan. "I thought we would need breathing masks." Susan checked her instruments. "The air is almost perfect for humans. Lots of oxygen, no toxins I can detect. It's like a perfect spring day." What they didn't know was that the landing area had been specially prepared to match Earth conditions as closely as possible, conditions that most alien species found unbearable. Kuzkathar stepped forward, wearing what looked like a thin environmental suit. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Kuzkathar, representative of the Galactic Confederation. We welcome you to Proxima Station." Jack smiled and followed the diplomatic greeting they had practiced. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Captain Jack Miller of Earth, and this is my crew. We come in peace and friendship." As Jack spoke, he noticed something odd. The aliens were keeping their distance. Some were watching through protective shields. Others were taking readings with strange devices. They acted almost afraid. Kuzkathar gestured to a large building nearby. "Please, follow me to the meeting hall. We have much to discuss." As they walked, the humans noticed more aliens watching them from a safe distance. Some seemed curious, others nervous. Inside the meeting hall, the differences became even clearer. The room was set up with 2 sections. One side had furniture designed for humans, chairs, tables, and normal room temperature. The other side, where the aliens sat, had different gravity settings, strange mist in the air, and a much cooler temperature. I hope the accommodations are suitable, Kazakthar said. We have tried to recreate the conditions of your world. It's very comfortable, Jack said. But why are you staying over there? We were hoping for a closer meeting. Kazakthar's large eyes blinked rapidly. Captain Miller, perhaps you do not understand. You come from a world that would kill most of us within minutes. What you consider normal, we consider extreme. Susan leaned forward, suddenly understanding. Wait, are you saying Earth is dangerous by galactic standards? Dangerous. Kazakathar made a sound like gentle laughter. Your world is what we call a death world, Dr. Wright. The gravity would crush our bones. Your temperature variations would cause our organs to fail. The bacteria and viruses in your body right now could start plagues on most civilized worlds. The humans looked at each other in shock. But Earth seems so normal to us, Olivia said. That is precisely what makes your species so interesting, Kazakthar replied. You consider deadly conditions to be normal. You evolved on a world of constant threats and not only survived but thrived. Many in the Confederation believe this makes humans potentially the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. Alan frowned. We're not dangerous. We came here in peace. Perhaps, Kazakathar said. But consider this. Your bodies can withstand radiation that would kill us. Your immune systems fight off diseases that would end our civilizations. You can survive in temperature ranges that span from freezing to boiling water. And your history shows you have used these abilities to fight endless wars among yourselves. Jack stood up straight. That's our past. We've worked hard to build a peaceful world. We came to the stars looking for friendship, not war. And that is why you are here, Kazakthar said. Some in the Confederation fear you. Others see potential in your remarkable adaptability. The question we must answer is, why do humans choose to survive on a death world when they could create safer environments? What does this tell us about your species? As the meeting continued, scientists from dozens of alien worlds requested permission to observe the humans. Medical experts wanted to study their biology. Military advisors watched their movements. Cultural experts analyzed their speech patterns. To Jack and his crew, it felt like being in a zoo, but it was also an amazing opportunity. They were the first humans to speak with alien life, to learn about the galaxy beyond their solar system. That night, as the human crew rested in their quarters, Jack looked out at the alien world and thought about what he had learned. Earth, their home, was considered a deadly planet. Humans, his people, were seen as mysterious and potentially dangerous. Everything they thought they knew had changed in a single day. Well, Jack said to himself, I guess tomorrow we start showing them that Deathworlders can make good neighbors too. 3 months had passed since the Horizon landed on Proxima Centauri b. The human crew had settled into a routine at the alien base. Each day brought new discoveries about the galaxy and its many species, but beneath the polite meetings and scientific exchanges, trouble was brewing. Jack Miller sat in the Confederation Senate chamber, watching as alien representatives argued about Earth. The large room was divided into sections for different species, each with its own environmental controls. Some aliens floated in tanks of liquid, while others needed special gas mixtures to breathe. To Jack, it felt like sitting in a strange zoo. The humans cannot be trusted, said Grand Vizier Halpax, a tall, thin alien with pale green skin. They evolved on a world of constant violence and death. Such beings will bring their aggressive nature to our peaceful worlds. Jack tried not to show his frustration. For weeks, Halpax and his political group called the Purity Coalition had been working against Earth's admission to the Confederation. They used fear to convince others that humans were dangerous. On the other side of the debate, Elder Counselor Xylith, an ancient being with 4 arms and wisdom-filled eyes, spoke calmly. We should judge these newcomers by their actions, not their planet of origin. Their adaptability could benefit us all. Back at the human quarters, Susan Wright was working with her new friend Elxor, a scientist from the planet Mendela. Unlike most aliens who kept their distance from humans, Elxor was curious about Earth biology. This is remarkable, Elxor said, looking at a display showing human DNA. Your genetic repair mechanisms are incredibly efficient, and your bone density would be considered abnormal among most species. Susan smiled. On Earth, that's just normal. I'm not especially strong for a human. You don't understand, Elixir replied. What you consider normal would make you superhuman on most worlds. Your muscles, your immune system, your ability to heal from injuries. These are extraordinary adaptations. Susan had never thought of humans this way. On Earth, people focused on human weaknesses and limitations. Here among the stars, those same qualities were seen as almost magical. Is that why some aliens are afraid of us? She asked. Elixir's skin changed color slightly, showing discomfort. Many species in the Confederation have engineered themselves for peaceful cooperation. They removed aggressive tendencies and competitive instincts. They've lived in controlled environments for thousands of generations. The idea of a species that embraces challenge and adversity is unsettling to them. In another part of the base, Olivia Ross was learning to use alien communication systems. As she worked, she overheard conversations not meant for human ears. The aliens didn't realize her translator could pick up their private channels. The Deathworlders must be contained, one voice said. If they join the Confederation, they'll soon dominate everything. Their biology makes them natural warriors, said another. Imagine if they decided to conquer rather than cooperate. Olivia recorded these conversations and brought them to Alan Garcia. The security officer had been noticing similar patterns, friendly faces in public meetings, but fear and suspicion behind closed doors. We need to tell Jack, Alan said. The situation is worse than we thought. That evening, the human crew gathered in their private quarters to share what they had learned. Jack paced the room, thinking. So half the Confederation sees us as monsters, and the other half sees us as some kind of super beings, he said. Neither view is correct. What can we do? Susan asked. We can't change where we evolved. We need to show them who we really are, Olivia suggested. Not what they fear we might be. Before they could make plans, a message arrived. The Confederation Council requested Jack's presence for an important announcement. When Jack arrived at the council chamber, he found it packed with representatives from hundreds of worlds. Grand Vizier Halpax stood at the center platform, looking, pleased with himself. Captain Miller, Halpax said with false politeness, the Council has been discussing Earth's petition to join the Confederation. Some concerns have been raised about your species' compatibility with galactic society. Jack noticed how Halpax emphasized the word concerns, making it sound like humans were a disease that might spread. We have decided that a demonstration is needed, Halpax continued. A series of challenges to prove humans can function in civilized society. Jack felt a trap closing around him. What kind of challenges? Halpax smiled, showing pointed teeth. Simple tasks that any reasonable species should be able to complete. Diplomatic scenarios, environmental adaptations, problem-solving exercises, things that pose no difficulty for properly evolved beings. Jack understood the game now. Halpax wanted to publicly humiliate humans, to show they didn't belong among the stars. And if we succeed? Jack asked. Elder Counselor Xylith spoke up. If you succeed, Earth will be granted provisional membership in the Confederation. Your species will have proven its worth. And if we fail, Jack pressed. Halpax's smile grew wider. Then humanity will be quarantined to your solar system for the next 100 years, for the safety of all civilized worlds. The chamber grew quiet. Jack knew this was the moment that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. He could refuse the challenge, but that would only confirm the fears many aliens had about humans. Or he could accept, not knowing what tests Halpax had designed. Jack thought about Earth, about all the challenges humans had faced throughout their history. Natural disasters, diseases, wars, climate shifts. Each time, humans had adapted and survived. That was the true strength of humanity, not physical power, but the will to overcome obstacles. We accept your challenge, Jack said firmly. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Halpax looked surprised. He had expected Jack to refuse or ask for time to consider. Very well, Halpak said, recovering quickly. The challenges will begin tomorrow. They will test all aspects of intelligent behavior. Your entire crew must participate. As Jack left the chamber, he was met by his crew. They had watched the announcement on screens outside. Are you sure about this? Alan asked. We don't know what they'll throw at us. Jack nodded. We don't have a choice. If we back down now, Earth will be isolated for generations. This is our chance to show the galaxy who humans really are. Susan looked worried. Halpak's designed these tests to make us fail. He'll focus on what he thinks are our weaknesses. Then we'll surprise him, Jack said. Throughout human history, we've turned our so-called weaknesses into strengths. Our curiosity, our adaptability, our willingness to take risks. These aren't flaws. They're the qualities that brought us to the stars. That night, news of the challenge spread across Earth. Billions of humans watched reports about the test that would determine their place in the galaxy. Schools held special classes about the Galactic Confederation. Government leaders prepared statements for every possible outcome. In their quarters on Proxima Station, Jack and his crew prepared as best they could. They studied alien cultures, practiced diplomatic protocols, and tried to guess what challenges they might face. Whatever happens tomorrow, Jack told his team, remember that we represent all of humanity. We need to show them that living on a Deathworld didn't make us killers, it made us survivors. The great amphitheater of Proxima Station was filled with thousands of aliens from across the galaxy. Large viewing screens floated in the air, showing close-up images of the stage where the challenges would take place. This event was being broadcast to over 10,000 worlds. Everyone wanted to see how the humans from Earth would perform. Jack Miller stood with his crew at the entrance to the stage. His heart beat fast, but he kept his face calm. Susan, Alan, and Olivia waited beside him, all wearing their blue Earth uniforms. Remember, Jack said quietly, Halpak wants us to fail. He's expecting us to act like aggressive brutes from a dangerous planet. Grand Vizier Halpak stepped onto the center of the stage, his green skin glowing under the bright lights. Welcome to the compatibility challenges, he announced to the crowd. Today we will see if humans from Earth are truly ready to join the civilized galaxy. The first challenge was announced, a diplomatic meeting with the Vraxians, a species known for their complicated social rules and easily hurt feelings. Most species spent months studying Vraxian customs before attempting any contact. This should be impossible for them, Halpak whispered to his aide. Deathworlders lack the patience for proper diplomacy. Jack and Olivia stepped forward to meet the Vraxian representatives. The aliens had 6 limbs and spoke in musical tones. Their skin changed color with their emotions. Instead of trying to remember every complex rule, Jack and Olivia watched carefully and adjusted their approach based on the Vraxians' reactions. When a gesture seemed to make the alien's skin turn blue with pleasure, they repeated it. When another comment made their skin flash orange with offense, they quickly apologized and changed topics. We don't need to know all your customs to show respect, Olivia explained to the Vraxians. We're visitors to your culture, eager to learn. This simple, honest approach charmed the Vraxians. By the end of the meeting, they were exchanging jokes with the humans. The crowd murmured in surprise. How did they do that? One alien asked another. Humans evolved in tribes with many different social rules, Susan explained to Elxor, who sat in the scientists section. We had to learn to read body language and emotional cues to survive. The second challenge involved what the Confederation called moderate environmental stress, conditions that would be considered a pleasant spring day on Earth. The humans were placed in a chamber where the temperature, gravity, and air pressure changed randomly. Now we'll see them struggle, Halpak said confidently. But to everyone's surprise, Jack's team found the experience relaxing. When the gravity increased, they adjusted their stance slightly. When the temperature dropped, they simply zipped up their jackets. What the aliens considered stressful environmental changes were much smaller than the normal variations humans experienced on Earth every day. This is like a walk in the park, Alan commented as he did push-ups during a high-gravity period, showing off a bit for the cameras. The aliens watched in amazement. Many species in the Confederation lived in carefully controlled environments. The idea of a body that could quickly adapt to changing conditions was almost magical to them. The third challenge was designed to test problem-solving abilities. Alan was placed in a complex security simulation where he had to identify threats in a busy spaceport scene. Alien specialists typically analyzed each variable carefully, taking hours to complete the assessment. Alan, however, quickly spotted patterns that indicated danger. His brain, evolved to detect threats on a predator-filled planet, easily picked out the important details from the background noise. "Threat there, and there," Alan said, pointing to the hidden dangers in the simulation. "And that's not a threat. That's just someone carrying repair tools." He completed in minutes what would take other species hours. The audience was stunned into silence. As the challenges continued, Halpax became more and more frustrated. The qualities he thought would disqualify humans, their development on a dangerous world, were proving to be remarkable advantages. "This isn't fair," Halpax complained to Elder Counselor Xylith. "They're using their Deathworld abilities to cheat." Xylith's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "They are simply being themselves. Perhaps we have misjudged what makes a species truly adaptable." During a break between challenges, Susan met with Elxor in the science observation area. "I've been measuring your neural responses," the alien scientist said. "Humans have extraordinary pattern recognition and rapid problem-solving capabilities. That's because on Earth hesitation often meant death," Susan explained. "We had to make quick decisions about threats and opportunities. What others see as human recklessness is actually rapid threat assessment," Elxor said, understanding dawning in his large eyes. "You process information faster than most species because your world required it." The final challenge was the most difficult, an emergency response simulation. The humans had to coordinate the evacuation of a space station during a systems failure. Most species approach such problems with careful planning committees and extensive safety protocols. Jack and his team, however, immediately divided responsibilities and began working on multiple solutions at once. Jack organized the evacuation routes. Susan identified medical priorities. Alan secured dangerous areas. Olivia coordinated communications. They made quick decisions when needed and adjusted their plans as new problems arose. "This is how humans handle emergencies," Jack explained, as they worked. "We try multiple approaches, see what works, and adapt." Their ability to function under pressure and improvise solutions impressed even the most skeptical observers. By the time the final challenge ended, the audience's mood had completely changed. The humans were no longer seen as dangerous primitives. They were now viewed as remarkable problem solvers with unique abilities. Halpax stood at the center of the stage, his skin pale with anger and disappointment. The challenges had backfired completely. Instead of proving humans were unfit for galactic society, they had demonstrated exactly why Deathworld evolution had produced a species uniquely qualified for space exploration. "The results are clear," Elder Counselor Xylith announced, taking control of the ceremony. "The humans have passed every challenge with extraordinary skill." The crowd cheered, surprising Jack and his crew. In just one day, the attitude toward humans had shifted dramatically. "But this doesn't mean they're safe," Halpax protested. "Their adaptability makes them more dangerous, not less." Before Xylith could respond, an emergency alert sounded throughout the station. The main communication screen activated, showing a panicked alien face. "Emergency at Research Outpost 7. The alien cried. "Containment systems are failing. Multiple experimental environments are mixing with catastrophic results. We need immediate assistance." The Confederation Council members looked at each other in horror. Research Outpost 7 contained some of the most dangerous environmental experiments in the galaxy, and now those environments were mixing together, creating conditions that no civilized species could survive. Jack stepped forward. "My crew has experience with extreme environments. We volunteer to help." Halpax laughed bitterly. "You see, typical Deathworlder behavior, rushing into danger without proper assessment." But Elder Xylith raised his 4 hands for silence. "Perhaps," he said thoughtfully, This emergency requires exactly the qualities humans have demonstrated today. The emergency shuttle raced through space toward Research Outpost 7. Jack, Susan, Alan, and Olivia sat in the passenger area, preparing their equipment. With them were 3 alien specialists who looked nervous about the mission ahead. Taunt. Outpost contains various experimental environments, explained Lin, the lead researcher. His thin body trembled as he spoke. Many simulate conditions found on extreme worlds. When the containment systems failed, these environments began to mix. How many people are trapped inside? Jack asked. 22 researchers, Lin replied. Most are in safe rooms, but 5 were working in the labs when the systems failed. They're likely still in the contaminated areas. Through the shuttle window, they could see the research station growing larger. It was a massive ring-shaped structure with different sections. Some parts of the station were already damaged, with warning lights flashing. Those environments? Susan asked. What exactly are we talking about? Lin's large eyes blinked rapidly. High gravity zones, extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheric elements, radiation fields. Essentially, we study conditions found on worlds too dangerous for normal habitation. Alan smiled slightly. You mean, like Earth? The alien stared at him in surprise. Many of these conditions exist naturally on our planet, Susan explained. Our poles have freezing temperatures, our deserts are extremely hot. We have high radiation areas and toxic volcanic vents. The aliens looked at each other with new understanding. What they considered extremely hazardous conditions were simply parts of the planet humans called home. When the shuttle docked at the station, warning messages played over the speakers. Danger! Environmental containment breach, unauthorized. Entry prohibited. The rescue team gathered at the airlock. Jack divided them into groups. Susan and I will search for the missing researchers in Lab Section A. Alan and Olivia will check Section B. The rest of you coordinate the evacuation of the safe rooms. Lin looked concerned. You don't understand. The conditions in those labs are lethal. We understand the risks, Jack said firmly. But there are people who need help. As they entered the station, the difference between humans and aliens became even more apparent. Conditions that caused the aliens severe distress barely slowed the humans down. In Lab Section A, Jack and Susan encountered rapidly changing gravity fields. One moment they felt as light as feathers, the next they struggled to lift their feet. The aliens would have been incapacitated, but Jack and Susan adjusted their movements and kept going. This is like that wilderness training course in Colorado, Jack said as they carefully moved through the shifting gravity zones. Just heavier. They found 2 researchers trapped in a lab where the air was thin and cold. The aliens were barely conscious, their bodies not designed for such conditions. Jack and Susan carried them to safety, their Earth-evolved bodies handling the strain. Meanwhile, Alan and Olivia faced different challenges in Section B. The temperature fluctuated wildly, from freezing cold to burning hot. Toxic gases leaked from damaged containers. Like a summer day in Phoenix followed by winter in Chicago, Alan commented as they pushed through the harsh environment. Nothing we haven't seen before. They found 3 more researchers hiding in a sealed cabinet, trying to escape the deadly conditions. The aliens were amazed to see humans functioning in an environment that would kill most species. As they worked to rescue everyone, Susan made an unexpected discovery. In a secure lab area, she found research files showing that the station had been studying Earth-like conditions for years. Jack, look at this, she called. They've been researching Deathworld adaptations. Jack reviewed the files on the screen. They're studying how species evolve under harsh conditions, but why keep this secret? Susan dug deeper into the files. There's more. Look at this historical data. According to these records, several founding species of the Confederation originally evolved on worlds nearly as challenging as Earth. What? Jack was shocked. But they said Deathworld species are rare. They are now, Susan explained, reading quickly. But these records show that many current Confederation species engineered themselves over thousands of years. They modified their bodies and created artificial environments to eliminate all threats. They chose safety over adaptability, Jack realized. As they were discussing this discovery, Olivia's voice came through their communicators. Jack, Susan, you need to come to Control Room B immediately. We found something important. When they arrived, Alan was standing guard over a damaged control panel. Olivia was examining data on a screen. This wasn't an accident, she said grimly. Someone deliberately sabotaged the containment systems. And look what I found in the system. Logs. The screen showed a message from Grand Vizier Halpax ordering a security test during the human challenges. The test had actually been a cover for sabotage. He wanted to create an emergency, Alan said, probably to justify rejecting Earth's membership application. But why? Jack wondered. I think I know, Susan said. She explained about the historical records she had found. The Purity Coalition has been hiding the truth. They don't want their people to know that they were once like us. They've been engineering the perfect society by removing all challenge and risk. And now they're afraid we'll remind everyone of what they've lost, Jack concluded. As they worked to stabilize the station and rescue everyone, more evidence emerged. The research at the station wasn't just about studying dangerous environments. It was about understanding what the Confederation species had given up in their quest for perfect safety. The most shocking discovery came when they found a hidden research lab. Inside were genetic samples and historical records showing how dramatically the Confederation species had changed themselves. They had sacrificed strength, resilience, and adaptability for comfort and safety. They've been engineering themselves. For so long they've forgotten what they once were, Susan said sadly. By the time they managed to stabilize the station's systems and evacuate all personnel, Jack's team had gathered significant evidence, not just of Halpax's sabotage, but of the suppressed history that the Purity Coalition had tried to hide. As their shuttle returned to Proxima Station, the humans discussed what they had learned. So that's why they fear us, Olivia said. We remind them of their past, of what they used to be before they engineered themselves for safety. And what they could be again, Susan added. Our adaptability threatens their carefully constructed society. Jack looked out at the stars. They've been asking why humans choose to live on a Deathworld, but maybe the real question is, what happens to a species that chooses to never face challenges? The shuttle docked at Proxima Station, where a large crowd waited. News of the human rescue mission had spread across the Confederation. Beings from 100 worlds watched as Jack's team returned with the rescued scientists and the evidence they had discovered. Halpax stood at the front of the crowd, his green skin pale with fear. The truth he had tried to hide was about to be revealed. Elder Counselor Xylith approached the humans as they exited the shuttle. You have done more than rescue our people, the ancient alien said. You have forced us to confront a truth we have been avoiding for too long. The humans had proven themselves not just through the artificial challenges, but through a real emergency. More importantly, they had discovered something that would change the Galactic Confederation forever: the forgotten value of adaptation through adversity. 6 months had passed since the emergency at Research Outpost 7. The Galactic Confederation had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Today, the Grand Hall of Proxima Station was filled with representatives from 1,000 worlds, gathered for a historic session. Jack Miller stood at the center of the platform, now wearing the formal blue and gold uniform of Earth's first ambassador to the stars. Behind him sat his crew, Susan, Alan, and Olivia, along with a dozen other humans who had joined them from Earth. The evidence Jack's team had discovered about Halpax's sabotage had led to the dissolution of the Purity Coalition. More importantly, the hidden historical records had sparked a galaxy-wide conversation about adaptation, evolution, and the price of perfect safety. Elder Counselor Xylith, now serving as head of the Confederation Council, raised his forearms for silence. Today marks a new chapter in our shared history, he announced. For too long we have engineered our bodies and our environments to eliminate all challenge and risk. In doing so, we sacrificed the very adaptability that brought our ancestors to the stars. The crowd murmured in agreement. The past 6 months had seen intense debate across the Confederation. Many species had begun reviewing their ancient history, rediscovering the harsh worlds their ancestors had conquered. We welcome Earth as a full member of the Galactic Confederation, Xylith continued, not despite their Deathworld origins, but because of the valuable perspective they bring. Jack stepped forward to address the assembled representatives. His speech was not about human strength or alien weakness. Instead, he spoke about the lesson Earth's history had taught, that adaptation comes through challenge, resilience through adversity, and true cooperation through diversity of experience. On Earth, we have a saying, Jack told the silent crowd. Smooth seas do not make skilled sailors. For thousands of years, humans fought against the harshness of our world. We made mistakes. We sometimes turned our strength against each other, but we also learned to build, to heal, to explore, and to grow. He gestured to the stars visible through the station's crystal dome. We didn't come to the stars because we conquered our world. We came because our world taught us never to stop reaching for what seems impossible. As Jack finished his speech, Susan took his place at the speaking platform. Over the past months, she had worked with scientists across the galaxy, studying the connection between environmental challenges and species development. We've been asking the wrong question, Susan explained, displaying charts and data on the large screens. The question isn't why humans choose to live on a death world. The question is what happens when a species completely removes all environmental stress from their existence. Her research showed that death world adaptations, far from being dangerous anomalies, represented essential evolutionary mechanisms that the Confederation had been systematically engineering out of their societies. Perfect safety leads to fragility, Susan concluded. By trying to eliminate all risk, many species have lost the ability to handle the unexpected. And in a universe as vast and unpredictable as ours, the unexpected is inevitable. The most surprising development was announced next. A new cultural exchange program was being established. Young representatives from Confederation worlds would experience life on Earth under carefully controlled conditions, while humans would share their adaptability techniques with species who had lost such capabilities. Olivia stood to explain the program she would lead. We're calling it the Adaptive Futures Initiative, she said. Participants will learn not just how to survive in challenging environments, but how to thrive in them, how to turn obstacles into opportunities. Many in the audience looked nervous at the idea of facing Earth conditions, but there was excitement too. After generations of carefully controlled existence, the idea of testing one's limits held a powerful appeal, especially for the younger members of many species. Alan described the new security protocols he had developed with Confederation forces, combining human-style rapid response with the careful deliberation favored by most alien species. True security doesn't come from avoiding all danger, he explained. It comes from being prepared to handle danger when it appears. As the session continued, plans were announced for the first Confederation University on Earth, where alien students would study environmental resilience theory, the science of maintaining adaptability while managing environmental threats. TQ. Location chosen was particularly symbolic. Yellowstone National Park, a place where Earth's wild and sometimes dangerous nature was preserved rather than tamed. There, in the shadow of mountains and geysers, representatives of 100 worlds would learn what it meant to be adaptable. When the formal session ended, Jack found himself standing with a small group of aliens and humans on an observation deck watching the stars. Among them was a young alien student who had just arrived from a gentle world where nothing ever changed. Ambassador Miller, the young alien asked. May I ask you a personal question? Of course, Jack replied. Why do humans choose to survive on a death world? Now that you have our technology, you could transform Earth into a paradise with no dangers, no diseases, no natural disasters. Why don't you? Jack smiled. It was the question that had started everything, but now he understood the answer better than ever. We never saw it as a choice, he explained. We saw it as an opportunity to become more than what we were born to be. And now we know that's not just the human way. It's the way of all life that truly wants to reach for the stars. The young alien considered this, then nodded slowly. I think I would like to visit this Earth of yours, to see if I too can learn to thrive where others only survive. As the sun set over the station, casting golden light across the observation deck, Jack looked at the gathering of humans and aliens together. 6 months ago, humans had been viewed with fear and suspicion, dangerous primitives from a world. Now they were teachers, partners, and friends. The Confederation was changing, rediscovering the strength that comes from facing challenges rather than avoiding them. And Earth, once classified as too dangerous to visit, was now recognized as the crucible that forged humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy: the stubborn refusal to accept limitations as destiny. On a screen nearby, the first images from the Adaptive Futures campus on Earth appeared. Aliens in specially designed environmental suits were experiencing their first Earth rainfall, their first climb up a rocky trail, their first campfire under the open sky. Some looked terrified, others exhilarated. All were being changed by the experience. "It's just the beginning," Susan said, joining Jack at the window. "Who knows what we'll discover together?" Jack nodded. Humanity's journey to the stars had started with a simple question about a supposed death world. The answer had changed everything, not just for humans, but for all intelligent life in the galaxy. The true strength of any species wasn't about avoiding hardship. It was about facing it together, adapting, growing, and becoming more than they were before. That was the lesson of Earth. That was the lesson of life itself.